Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're just going to do another velocity banking review. So, what is velocity banking? All it is a debt payoff strategy where you throw all of your money into debt with the help of something called a line of credit, right? A line of credit. And if you don't know who I am, I'm gonna tell you who I am. I'm just this guy on the internet, random guy on the internet who's a wannabe cult leader. I'm pretty bad at it, but I'm a wannabe cult leader, and I pretend to be rich. Not really that rich. I just pretend to be on YouTube. But hey, you know what? At least I have a mortgage paid off in 2 years and 9 months, right? 2 years and 9 months. I mean, you could stay like the screenshot I'm showing you if you're new to this channel, is me paid with the paid off mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. Yeah, that's right. 2 years and 9 months. See how I repeat that like 3 or 4 times? That's what we do here to kind of lengthen the watch time on YouTube so I can get paid my $200 a month on ad revenue. Okay. Alright. No, well, here's the thing. One of the reasons I created this YouTube channel is because sometimes I'd say 90% of the time, when I step outside my house and talk to people, it almost feels like me talking to a brick wall. And I was just going crazy, right? It's like, okay, I need to find, there's, what, billions of people on this earth. So I'm going to find maybe the couple hundred or thousands or whatever of people who is interested in learning this, because it's obvious that when I step outside my house, like, people don't listen, you know what I mean? So, yeah, 2 years and 9 months. Let me repeat that for the 4th or 5th time. I don't even know, but it kind of, what do you call it? Ego boost max? It boosts max my ego, okay? Alright, so here's the thing. Before we get started talking about, like, velocity banking and debt, let me go ahead and ask ChatGPT this. Why is it when I tell other people, um I paid off my mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. Uh, I could see they don't want to ask any more questions, and it makes me feel crazy. Is that a good way to prompt chat GPT? I mean, you pay off debt too quickly. It's just like, man, it does feel crazy, right? Well, let's go ahead and ask and see. Um, Go ahead and do that. You're not crazy. Thanks for being my therapist, ChatGPT. You are not crazy. What you're noticing is a real social dynamic. Right. Oh, actually, did I know that ChatGPT took away the voice reader? I don't know if it's temporary, but look, I can't even read it. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy and paste this into the another voice AI thingy website. Give me one moment. All right, I copy and pasted it here. So let's go ahead and read the AI voice. Okay.
You're not crazy. What you're noticing is a real social dynamic that often comes up when people talk about personal achievements, especially ones that involve money, success, or beating the odds. Here are a few reasons why people might respond the way they do. 1. They feel inadequate or threatened. Paying off a mortgage in under 3 years is extremely rare and impressive. For many, it highlights a contrast with their own financial situation. Instead of feeling happy for you, they might feel insecure, jealous, or like they're falling behind. So, they shut down. It's not about you, it's about how your success makes them feel about themselves. 2. They think you're bragging, even if you're not. Talking about financial wins can be tricky. Even when you're just sharing facts or celebrating something meaningful, people might interpret it as showing off. Our culture is weirdly uncomfortable with overt success, unless it's wrapped in humility, luck, or struggle. 3. They don't know what to say. Most people don't have a script for how to respond to someone doing something extraordinary, especially with money. They might freeze or retreat just because they don't know how to keep the conversation going without sounding awkward. 4. They think they're not in your league. If you say you paid off a mortgage quickly, some might assume you're financially in a different world now. That can create emotional distance. They might feel like they don't relate to you anymore, even if that's not how you see it. Number 5. You're breaking the narrative. The typical mortgage story is 30 years of grinding, maybe refinance once or twice, pray for retirement. You shattered that narrative. When people are heavily invested in a certain path, hearing that it's possible to do it differently and faster can challenge their worldview, and that makes them uncomfortable. 400. So, what can you do? If it's important to share your story, you could frame it as a personal journey rather than an outcome. We had to make a lot of sacrifices, but here's what helped us. Share the why behind it, what it meant to you emotionally, mentally, or for your life goals. Be mindful of context and audience. Some people will be more open than others. But also, you don't have to shrink your story to make others comfortable. Their discomfort isn't a sign you did something wrong. It's just human psychology reacting to something outside the norm. You're not crazy, you're just uncommon, and that makes people react in uncommon ways.
You know, it's funny. Like, I copied and pasted this to the AI voice generator. So it's like, if you think like, I'm like, what is it saying? It's just like, I think it was just saying like gibberish when it was reading this. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with our velocity banking review. I just like to do the same situation over and over again. You know, sometimes I get requests, can you do smaller amounts? And the answer is no, because if you don't make enough money, the bank isn't going to lend to you. You all know that, right? Because banks don't lend money to people who need it. Okay. I would say velocity banking is a strategy that requires you to have income. So a lot of people are like, I don't make income. So how do you apply this? And I was like, I don't know. Like, talk to a bank and see which one will lend you money, minus Klarna and all those buy now, pay laters, because I think they just lost a ton of money. Actually, let me just look up here in the Googles, Klarna. Oh, Burger King. What does that say? Burger King employee who worked last minute shift and graduation closed after his high school ceremony. Oh, that's heartwarming. But let me see this. Klarna lose money, right? So uh almost 100 million, and I guess that's a drop in the bucket, you know, when you think about it, but they did lose 100 million the first quarter of this year, because you know the mistake that they made that a regular traditional bank would not make, lending money to people who need it, lending money for DoorDash. Okay. So all right, so let me go back here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And so here's the thing. First step to velocity banking. Did I say velocity? Velocity banking. And I think in Spanish, the V and the B have the same pronunciation. I don't know if you knew that or not, or maybe I'm wrong. But velocity banking, okay, has two steps to it. Number one is your budget. So your budget is your debt attack plan. Remember, this is a debt attack strategy. You attack the debt, okay? And then you have your non-debt expenses, food, gas, insurance. You know, you always have to pay for this every single month, okay? But the debt you don't, right? So this is all just interest going out the door. And what we're going to do in order to attack that interest is use something called the line of credit to help us not save money, right? You see this zero savings right here? See how we went from negative 59 to zero? And you might be like, how is that even possible, right? I'm going to show you my checking account here, my checking account. This is my checking account most of the time, right? It's zero, right? Because every time I get paid, deposits this month, it just goes out into a line of credit, right? That's what happens. And so here's the crazy part. Okay, here's the crazy part. I recently talked to a banker, actually several of them, for my financing needs, because you know I do want to borrow some money, right? And they all, you know, when you especially when you get bigger size loans, they looked at my personal financial sheet and they were freaking out, right? They were freaking out. It's like, how do you not have money saved? And I'm like, I got lines of credit. And they act like lines of credit is not easily accessible cash. Because how do I know if it's easily accessible cash? Well, I got this giant $280,000 home equity line of credit. It's probably going to be bigger in like 1 month or two, right? That's what she says. Wink, wink. No, I'm just kidding. So $280,000, 200, 280. I don't even know what I'm talking about. $280,000. Hold on. Someone just text messaged me. Give me one moment. It's time to make some money. False alarm. No one texted me. All right. So, $280,000. Okay. And so basically you go to the bank's website, click a button, and then you just have money in your checking account, right? You just pull what you need. You don't pull the whole 280 unless you need a project. You have a project that's going to require the whole 280, but I just take what I need, right? And they charge me 7.5% interest rate. 7.5%. Look at that. I kind of felt like that when I have access to it. But you know what's crazy? Me having access to this money is like so normal to me now. That's just like, oh, 280, that's not enough, right? And that tells you I'm being really spoiled because like once I remember when I got my first $15,000 home equity line of credit, I was like, that's so much money. And then the next year or so, I reapplied and I got a 50, I was like 57,000, I think. And I was like, whoa, I got like 5 times the amount. And then once I paid off my mortgage and I got a first lien HELOC at 280, I was like, that's it. That's it. It just shows you how spoiled I've become. But anyways, all right. So we're not going to save money, and we're going to increase something called our cash flow, right? You see how this cash flow number is just kind of not there, right? It's because it's a different paradigm, right? Like we savings and cash flow when it comes to velocity banking are two different concepts. Yet when you talk about traditional banking, savings and I'm sorry, cash flow are like the same concept, right? So this is like negative cash flow. But even if we have the same income, the same exact income, can we make this number go up just by shifting some debt into our line of credit? And so this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna restart this because I did this last time. But if you sum up the debt, this credit card debt, 15, 27, 30, like look at these balances right here. It's $72,000. And let's just move these $72,000 in credit cards into let's say $80,000 line of credit. And if we just shift the debt into a line of credit, guess what happens here? This turns to zero, this turns to zero, and then this turns to zero. And so if we take a look, okay, notice how we literally changed negative $59 to $2,332 without doing anything. Do we make more income? Right? It's obviously better if my income just shot up $2,332, but it didn't, right? And in fact, that would be awesome if it did, right? So 2,332, then my income would be 8,000, and then my cash will be 4 grand. Whoa, I need to make more income too. Don't be afraid to make more money. All right, but as you see here, $6,300, and then the cash flow is $2,332.52, even though we made the same income. See, a lot of people, they struggle with this, right? And that's why I say, like, hey, if you're gonna learn this, practice the spreadsheets, do it over and over again. This is why I have over 1,000 videos on YouTube. I'm doing this for selfish reasons, so I internalize this concept. Um, and it's kind of like second nature to me, right? I don't care about you. Let's be honest. Do I really care? I don't even know you. I don't know you unless I actually know you, right? Then I care about you. But if I don't, if you're just some random dude or gal or dudette on the internet, like I probably don't care about because I don't know you. But hey, if you want to join my cult, click the Google form link below. Anyways, all right, so let's go ahead and do this. And 72,000, look at this, how negative $59 to $2,332.52. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the final step of velocity banking, which is to put our entire paycheck into that line of credit, that entire $6,300, take our expenses out, and then rinse and repeat over and over again, right? So 2,332.52. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the average daily balance, because that's how a line of credit interest is calculated, multiplied by 8%, divided by 12, and then just rinse and repeat. Paycheck in, expenses out, paycheck in, expenses out, and then you see that the debt goes away. okay? And the interest that you have to pay every single month will go down as well. So if you take a look here, in the first month we're already screwed in the average American scenario, meaning we're using our checking account as our main operating account. We pay for things out of our checking account, leave the leftover in the savings, but the savings here is negative $59. So we're probably screwed, right? We're probably screwed. Probably, not always. Maybe get yourself out whole, but you just kind of use your line of credit as your main operating account, and it's easy, right? It's super easy. Okay. All right. I'm going to copy and paste this right here, and then copy and paste this, copy and paste this, and then you see wablam. Let me go up here. In 35 months, all that debt is paid off. Oh my goodness. All right. 35 months. And so let me just do that right here. 35 months. And then what was that? How much debt was that? That was 72,000. Okay. Paid off 72,000. Right. See, everybody on YouTube is freaking out about like their debt. You know how much the average credit card debt in this country is? It's only about like 6 grand. So like, okay, we did 72. Pretty good, right? 72. How much is the house? 200 something, 300,000. We did 72, so it's almost like, I don't know, about a fourth of a house, I think. I don't know, a third or fourth in about 3 years. Not bad. Now let's tackle on these loans, right? Amortized loans. Looks like we have this amortized loan calculator to figure out how to pay off the debt. And the easiest way to figure out how to pay off the debt is by using the cash flow index model, right? The statement balance divided by the monthly payment. The lower the number, the more bang you get for your buck. You want to pay 13 grand to get $500 or 33 grand to get 466? Let's get the 13 grand and get the 500, right? So let's go ahead and do that. And then we're going to move this right here into the line of credit, which is 13 grand. 13 grand plus 13231.4. All right. So now let's go ahead and do this. So this is going to be $552 we're getting back in our cash flow. This turns to zero. $2,885.02. That's our new cash flow. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this, and then I'm going to do this right here, and then to 885.02, and then in 40 months, okay, 40 months, this is completely paid off. So let me go here, 40 months, and then it's 72 plus 30, so it's 102K, 102K. And then now just do the student loan and the mortgage. So this is 0, this is 40, 40, right? So now let's go ahead and pay off that mortgage, student loan, I'm sorry. Again, it's like a ranking system. You choose the lower number. And you want it ideally to be up below 50, right? And the safest way to pay this off is actually, especially if you have a loan interest rate difference, is using called the chunking method, but I'm too lazy to show that here, at least for the student loan. All right, so now let me go ahead and put a 0 right here, get that 466. We got that. All right, so minus 3351.39. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll see that in 50 months, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 50 months, we got it all paid off, right? 10 months, not bad. Okay. 10 months. You know what? It's funny is like if I go into, I don't know, Reddit or what else is there? YouTube, TikTok, everybody's freaking out about student loans. Student loan freaking out. And I'm just type Reddit, right? How do you deal with the anxiety of carrying 6-figure student loans? Okay. Look how popular public service loan forgiveness is. 97,000 followers. Student loans, over 600,000. Loan anxiety, okay? Don't let people gaslight you about your student loans. All right. So, but here we just paid it off in 10 months. So I'm good. Okay. So 102 plus 45. And then this is going to be 147K. And then now we just do the mortgage. So at 50 months, what's the balance of our mortgage, right? And then well, blam. So one thing to consider is that the interest rate does matter. And if you think about this number, this cash flow index, what does this mean is that you pay this off, you get little bang for your buck. I mean, would you literally give someone $200,000 to give you $948 a month? That's literally what this is saying. So we have to be careful. Now, here's the thing. The way that the bank makes the money is that they're patient, right? They're willing to wait 30 years because as an institution, they know that this 3% means 50% interest on their part. And it's technically not the bank because, usually whenever a bank originates a mortgage, they just sell it off to somebody else, right? And then they just make those sweet, sweet origination fees. You ever notice how high those origination fees are? They're like a couple grand. Usually, okay, I don't want to say usually, some HELOCs, they just waive the origination fees based on the amount. So, so if you can find one that has no origination fees, kudos to you. All right, so now let's go ahead and do this. So a 3% interest rate, $204,000 balance. And then, so if we can't put this whole thing into a line of credit, what do we do? Well, we could just use the chunking method. And here's the crazy part. A 30% credit card can actually be an 8% line of credit. It can. So what we're going to do is just move a piece of the loan into the line. So we'll say $7,000. I already filled this out. This is the Velocity banking calculator. All right, let me go ahead and speed run this part. So basically, you just put in the information right here. $7,000 just means that you're just moving $7,000 from the loan into the line of credit. So if I just go in right here and then I just do this, okay? All right, let me do this. And then I'll just say, 7,000 right here plus 7,000. And then we see that in 2 months that 7,000 gets paid off and then you rinse and repeat over and over again. Now, let's say you move the whole loan into the line. Look at that. 42 grand. That's a no bueno. Actually, did I do that right? Let me go back here. 204,463.37. Yeah. You see that what happens when you move the whole loan into the line of credit? You end up paying more than you need to. Look at that, 14 grand of interest. Ew. All right. So let's go ahead and just type this in right here. And then I'm just going to do 0. And then now it's 50 divided by 12 plus 4.3. And that is 8.47 years. And we are debt free. Debt free. Woo! Look at that. Okay. All right. So just do 1,000 of these videos and then you'll be debt free too. Not really. Can't guarantee that. Can only do those 99.9% Lysol commercials guarantees. All right. So before we end for today or end for this video, let's just take a look at all the lines of credit that I have. And right now it's over $604,000. $604,000 lines of credit, right? So I got a ton of them. So you could just use it for anything. Now, credit cards are a little bit different because credit cards have some restrictions, but when you have personal and home equity, ooh, sky's the limit. And remember the secret. Banks don't lend money to people who need it. That's how I got all these lines of credit. You need money and you go to a bank and they're like, oh no, we want nothing to do with this person. And it's shocking. It's like, what? Yep. We want nothing to do with this person. Because banks don't lend money to people who need it. Okay. In fact, let me go ahead and show you this picture that I generated from ChatGPT. Okay, it's pretty I don't want to say funny, but I'll show you what I think the funny part is, okay? So I typed into ChatGPT like, can you create a picture of a bank not lending money to a person who needs it, right? Okay? And it looks pretty serious. Look at his face, okay? Like, look at his face. He's like, "Mm-mm. This guy looks like he needs money," and the bank's like, "Uh-uh. No, no, no." And I said, "Okay, can you do it in the 1950s Looney Tune type version?" And then ChatGPT created it's almost like the Flintstones or the Jetsons. Actually, wasn't that the 70s? Not 1950s. But like, yeah. uh, maybe you could show this one to kids, right? Like this is a little bit too serious. Like if a child sees this, they'll be like freaked out. I think if you show them this one, they'll be like, "Oh, Yeah, banks don't lend money to people who need it, you know? All right, well, that's it for today, folks. Korean Lanta Mentorship, and I'll see you all in the next video. And remember, banks don't lend money to people who need it, okay?